Hey Eric, I got a friend in the chat room, and we were talking about having you and Lori on at some point too. We want to talk about the whole David Crowley thing.
Oh, for sure.
Continue what we were talking about last week. I got a couple friends. Brother. Yeah, they have a couple questions for you guys and gals.
I know you handle has to get clearance to allow me on, but
okay,
if they do. my handler talk to your handler.
Cool. All right.
My handler, my peeps will get in touch with your peeps.
Okay, cool.
And Lori's handlers, I mean peeps will get in touch with dear people, and we'll make it happen.
I don't have people.
You don't have people?
No.
All right.
No, we don't have any handlers over here.
I'm the handler. No, I'm just kidding.
That's
on the next episode of YouTube.
Just gave it away.
I know, right? On the next episode of YouTube Gossip, Lori admits on live.
You have no idea what you're in for coming on here with us right now, Greg. 2 weeks in a row. I'm telling you. Enjoy it.
It's fun.
I just can't wait to meet Mama Gamer.
Oh yeah, me too.
Mama Gamer.
I'm looking forward to
the final
that.
boss.
The final boss.
Well, Greg was just talking about having us on to talk about David Crowley.
I would love to do that. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah, I got a couple friends in the chat now, and I'm sure they have. I know one of them, maybe both of them, have a lot of questions for you, Lori, about your dealings with the crime boss and all of their little minions and everything.
I would love to talk to Sophia, and who's the other one?
Catherine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. They have a lot of questions for you about that.
I'm sure they do.
What happened?
I'm sure they do. Because you know what? Actually, I think Catherine. Was that?
Well, that's who they called Hot Kathy, and so I was very jealous. So I had to change my name to Hot Greg.
Okay.
So I'm not going to let that slide. I mean,
no, I wouldn't let it slide either. You know, I think we all should be jealous of Catherine then, because none of us have videos like that made of us. We just how do you get one of them made, Eric?
I'm going to go ahead and
what's your secret?
Lukewarm Spitfire.
Lukewarm spit water.
Lukewarm spit. I'm a little bit lukewarm.
Yeah.
Is that your new stage name?
Yeah, we're still waiting for Eric's video here on that. I don't know. I feel like I feel like we should have played some of the videos last week. Yeah. Well, it's nice, guys. I have my own fan club. I don't know about you guys, but that shows that I've made it. I don't even know if Jeff does. Jeff should. He's got 4 books out by now.
I'm trying to fly under the radar.
He doesn't have a fan club.
No.
Define fan.
We could change that. We could change that.
Define fan club.
I have an enemy club. I have an enemy club, not a fan club, right?
Right.
That's what I call a fan club.
That's when you're doing it good. Like Eric's got a hate club. Jeff's got the hate club. I've got one. And now we find out that Greg has one too.
I have a love club. They love
this time when we have to have an inside joke. I got 50,000 gangs coming after me for 50,000 years.
I run with 12 gangs.
The whole world coming after me, man. They're everywhere. They're popping up here. I think one's popping up in my basement right now. Drilling through.
We got gangs within gangs up in here.
Who is that? Who's that Mexican drug lord that would tunnel everywhere?
Chapo?
Chapo.
El Chapo. I think El Chapo's popping up in my basement right now.
It happened.
Oh! There's Pete Sanchilli. What's up, Pete? I'll be back. It was all LARP.
Holy.
Oh.
It was all LARP.
That brings back
most of the chat room's like, who the fuck is Pete Sanchilli?
I don't know if to tell you the truth, Greg, I don't know if it brings back memories or if it brings back nightmares. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sure. Hopefully not too many.
Sophia says the Hot Greg fan club.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, they all love me. They make videos
look
about me.
Greg, let me give you a piece of advice. If you hang around us long enough, you'll have videos made about you, so you won't feel left out.
Say the Hot Greg fan club really, really like in your most seductive voice. Ready? Go.
The Hot Greg fan club.
Greg fan club. Hot Greg fan club.
Yeah, get that.
Do we give them your only fan page? By the way? Did we give them your only fan page?
I thought you had it. I thought it was Mama Gamer. That's
Mama Gamer.
We'll get them a fans only page. Oh man, we could do so. We'll help you out.
I tried to join. They didn't let me in.
No,
I tried.
What?
No, you got to be hot in order to join.
With your freshly waxed ass, they wouldn't let you join it.
No, man. They said you're lukewarm, Eric. You got to be hot. All right.
Lori, why was there never a part 2 with the gamer's mama and all that? Was it just
because when I found out how vicious they were in the chat? Basically, I really don't want to say this on air. They were they had lost the sight of talking about David Crowley, and they were after Jamie, you, Scott, and I wasn't going to be part of it. Simple as that.
I can go through the broadcast we did with Greg. That's almost at 1,000 hits now. Where in the comment section they had a lot to say.
Yeah, there you go.
Have you gone through that comment section ever, Greg?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow. No.
Yeah,
we got about 20 minutes left. Let's go through it.
Yeah, they have a lot to say, but I was not gonna give them a platform after they showed me how they felt about you and about Jamie and about Scott. And I didn't even know Scott.
Who's Scott?
Wasn't he the one that was on with Jamie that was from Australia too?
Oh,
Zadak? Yeah. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Okay. Oh, he was on there too. Okay. Yeah. I didn't. See, I haven't seen their show either. I saw the.
I was on the outs with Jamie at the time. We had not patched things up. We were still, on the outs. Same with Eric, and I even so, I didn't want to be a part of that. I didn't want to open up that. I had no desire to attack anybody because of their difference of opinion on what had happened. Especially looking when you can sit there and just blatantly ignore the evidence that you brought to light, and reading through David's journal and seeing his decline in his mental health. I couldn't do it by my conscience. I said no, and it was set to go off. You can ask. I think Ken and Linda were in the chat. The link was up. We were set to go. It was going to be 1:00. It was a Thursday afternoon, and I think I canceled it at 11 o'clock in the morning. Basically told him to go kick rocks.
Wow. I think it got struck. I'm unable to find it. Yeah, it looks like I'm on strike till
it's a private
June. Next broadcast on the Sentinels of Truth is June, unless they strike another video.
They're going to strike you. Don't worry, Eric. They'll strike you down, and you will become stronger than ever.
That's right.
Well, Lori, that video that you sent me, I did watch it. It was a little painful, but I did leave a lot of comments in there too to kind of because I was like, wait a minute, you guys have got so many things wrong here. Mm-hmm. Like, it was really interesting to hear what they were focusing on and what they weren't focusing on. It's like, wow, you guys, and there was so much in there. Totally
missing the whole point of everything. I mean, literally, just.
You could tell that they were really, really lazy. They did not do any research. They did not actually look at any of those documents there. And that's why they always tell people, go look at the documents. Why? Because they haven't read them. Because if they have read them, they would know exactly what those documents say, and it would be very, very clear. They would have a whole different topic. But I do feel bad if there's anyone out there.
I think if they even read those documents, I think that just because of the feelings that they have for you, that they wouldn't change their mind. You know, and I don't believe that anything anybody can say to them is going to change their mind at this point.
Look what I found. There it is. And you said they didn't come at me. They did. They came at me at this comment section for sure.
Oh, good. Well, finally.
Well, yeah. I mean, I prefer they come at me video-wise.
Look at the nutballs commenting. Yep, there's Eric.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a whole lot of comments about this that we did. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Deep State Granny.
Greg is incapable of kicking anything. He's a coward. Wow.
Capable of kicking any? Who did I kick?
It's Greg is incapable of kicking anything. He's a coward.
I'm a coward.
Just so you don't look silly, the next time you try to tell your fan club about decomp, you can't have maggots without flies. And in December in Minnesota, there isn't a single fly. There is if the house is warm.
Correct.
Yeah, I've never talked about that though either, and that's partially what they do is they don't stay focused on what I'm talking about. If they're my fan club, they need to at least focus on what I say, and then try to respond to what I'm saying there. That's what's going to make you part of my fan club if you want to be part of it. If you don't, that's a whole nother issue.
You've never seen this, Greg? Because I mean, I
haven't seen this.
Swarmed by these people. This was 6 months ago. Yeah,
I mean, how they have so much hatred for David Crowley, so much hatred for me, for someone that they don't know? It's not like they have the hatred for themselves. I feel like these are people that they really are hating themselves and are just
not very happy people. Let's just put it that way.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
They don't really have too much going for them, and this is their 15 minutes of what they call, they think that they're making a difference or having a say, and it's almost like they're using this high profile event to like try to get noticed. Let's just
what does MBFT mean?
What?
Oh, I'm reading
inside the skull shows MBFT.
Yeah, blunt force trauma. Multiple blunt force trauma.
And Mama Gamer here is claiming the final boss once again, folks, is claiming that
that's what you said. Okay. That's what she said. That's what Catherine. That's what Hot Kathy said. I see. Yeah. Okay. So it's hard to read because they're kind of out of order.
We could spend all night, probably the next 5 hours, going through how many comments came from these people here.
This was 6 months ago. No, I haven't seen any of this stuff. Let me.
We were talking about a lot of things as we normally do, but
who was smoking a bowl here? Wait, because I subbed because of my friend Greg. Thanks for helping spread the word that David Crowley did not kill his wife and daughter, and then himself because he smoked a bowl. Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, Lori, it's the foot, and we had a commenter in the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group the other day saying that it was a playlist. That's why David killed himself, based on his playlist. Now, the playlist, they couldn't even get the playlist name right. So, I mean, there's just so many things like that. And this is why I'm like, wow.
Wait, they're basing their opinion that he did this on his playlist?
Is this true?
That's what one of the commenters said. What does that say? Read it.
Read this.
Kind of.
He also called his own daughter a pink shit who ruined him and Kamala's lives and called her a sis. Oh, yeah.
He did? I never heard that.
Mama Gamer, she discussed
that. Did that happen, Greg? Was there any...
From the journals?
Journals.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to read it in the full context.
Its context, yes, exactly.
Yes, I mean, this is why you have to read the whole journal. See, they like
authenticated that he actually wrote this himself too.
I definitely think.
You think he's under EMF attack? Was he under EMF attack?
I don't know. That's been another theory too.
That was a big one, right? That's the big alternative theory.
That's the first thing that popped into my mind.
This did happen because
what happened to Max?
Yeah, it's happened. Yeah, it'll happen to David.
I mean, it's just weird how they only take certain comments, but they never take the comments that David talks positively about his daughter. They never take those. They never take the comments where David is saying, hey, this is how I really feel, and I know that it is wrong. And he is planning for his daughter's future. He's saying, I need to work on myself. This is David's journal to himself. So this is him. I mean, to be that honest, that's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to put that stuff down on paper. It kind of shows he probably didn't have anybody that he could really talk to about that stuff, and putting it down on paper, but then also working through it. This isn't like he was saying those things at the very end of his journal. And it's not, context is definitely key, but to even say, let's just say David hated his daughter, you still have to be able to prove that David shot his daughter. We're talking about a 5-year-old daughter. And this is what pisses me off about these people, is that we are talking about a child that was murdered. Okay. This is not a game. This is not something where you take little bits and pieces and this and that, or where you hate Hot Greg, the master of your fan club, the desire of your dreams. You don't hate him over this stuff. What you really want to do, if you really care about this child, you would really look into the facts and you would focus on those, because if David did it, we need to know that, and we need to call him out on that. And if he didn't do it, then there's a child killer out there, and we need to find who that was. And so we got some big, big issues. That's one of my biggest issue with these people, is just like, you guys are so disgusting because there is a child killer out there. Somebody murdered this child and you people don't care. You're more focused on me.
And hominem attacks. I mean, look at this right here. Try researching, says the guy who doesn't know the difference between a name and a phrase. You forgot a period. Like, freaking, what relevance does that have to do with it, right? Is that hominem attacks? You win.
It's straw man attacks. They don't have anything, so they're going to go personal. Look at this one. They're talking to Greg. You calling other people failures in life, but you live in your mother's basement. What does that have to do with the murder?
Okay, first of all, I do not live in my mother's basement. But even if I did, they would still be a much bigger failure than I would ever be, because they have failed in this case. They have failed to prove David Crowley guilty. I have not. That's why I win. They lose. We know what the real truth is. David cannot be proven guilty. If people want to come and try to tell me that he's guilty, bring it, because you do not have any legs to stand on. And you are a disgusting human being to sit there and say that David Crowley is guilty based on a journal, because I got a punctuation wrong, because I live in my mom's basement. Make sure you get your facts right before you bring any of that stuff here, because all I'm going to bring you is facts on this case. And I'll bring it to you.
My mom would live in right here. Doesn't it?
I had forgotten Nancy.
Yeah,
Nancy in the chat, she says,
my mom's 83. I'm pretty sure she don't live in it, but I digress.
Nancy says, I remember Mama Gamer defending Freemasons when someone spoke against it in my chat. Yeah,
that's true.
The subject of Freemasonry did get brought up, and some of the people, Linda and Ken and I think Deb, started talking about Freemasonry, and she got quite offended that they thought it was.
She has family, I think, that are Freemasons, but I also think she had a family member that died, that committed a suicide or something like that too, or a murder, something like that
she would have a little bit more freaking compassion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the whole thing. And look, if anyone knows where my mom lives, she would know there is no basement in her house, first of all. But I have not lived in my mom's.
She doesn't have a basement.
She has no basement.
I love how Mama Gamer. What in the body contains DNA? I don't know. Why don't you tell us? I mean,
what does it say?
You can watch any freaking CSI show and find out. But
she wants to know what in the body contains DNA. Everything.
Yep, just about everything.
What in the body contains DNA?
Everything.
What is that? I don't get it.
Yeah.
How about let's
right? We do not get any of that.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is like people that are like, they won't listen. They don't want to talk about the Bible unless I can quote it scripture for scripture or something like that.
Yeah,
then apparently I'm not a Christian if I haven't researched it. Do you have the DNA? Do you know what DNA is? Because DNA does not exist if you cannot prove what DNA is. I'll tell you what DNA is. DNA is what proves David didn't do it. That's what DNA is. So if you don't understand what DNA is, then I can understand why you think David Crowley is guilty, because you don't understand what DNA is. So why don't you learn what DNA is first?
No, can I ask you a serious question, Greg?
Of course.
All right. So let's, everything aside, we know that he did not do this. So we still have a killer out there, first of all.
There's no evidence that David did this.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
All right. So that leaves us to believe that there is definitely a killer or killers still out there. Do we have really any idea who would have done it? Because here's kind of what I'm looking at. If the deep state or whoever powers that be wanted him silenced, they're not going to send in some junkie kid from down the block to commit these murders. They're going to send somebody in who, first off, is going to know how to do this and not get caught doing it. That's my first thought. And my second thought is, if this had something to do with the deep state, the police and detectives could have been in on it too to cover it up. If you want to, I mean, seriously.
You had discussions with some of the police officers from that city, correct, Greg?
Yeah. I spoke with Gummert, and Dan Hinnon also spoke with Jim Gummert too, and another officer. But they really at some point, and they were like, "Hey, we don't want to talk about this. We're not talking about it," and that was basically it. So they kind of shut everything down, and that was before we got the documents. Before we got a lot of these documents, there are documents we got very recently that other people got that we should have gotten too. So now we're talking about major legal problems here, because if these are public documents, everybody should get them. They should not be given to certain people who will hold them because they know it doesn't prove David guilty. There's a reason why these retards never put out David's journal, never made it public. The reason is because they know that it shows David did not do this.
Can't read it.
What does that say? FBI, CIA. It's really interesting about all of those theories. But the reason why I don't really get too much into who would have or who could have, there could be a lot of different things. A lot of different people could have done it. But it just seems like it needs to be drilled into certain people's heads that, look, David did not do this. You still have a lot of people, mentally ill people, that are just going out there acting like David Crowley did this, and that's it. It's done. It's like, no. The burden of proof is on the accuser.
Right.
So so I mean, that it's a great question. I think it's definitely something that we all need to look at privately. Put it up closer to the. Put it up closer.
It's invisible ink.
Oh, it's invisible.
It's invisible. It's the invisible enemy. That's who did it.
My favorite did
Now your video's coming, Eric.
Illuminati,
right?
We figured it out. We figured you out. Not only did you do the David Crowley thing, you did 9/11.
Actually, if I had to choose any of them, it wouldn't be Mama Gator. It would be Judy. But I mean, I digress.
Yeah, I really don't think any of them. I don't think Judy. I don't think any of them have the brain cells to pull any of that off. They can't even get this right. I mean,
it's funny you should say that, because I've actually said those same words. Is that I didn't think anybody was smart enough to commit a murder, and it's funny you should say that, because
they're not even smart enough to look at the documents and to understand what the documents say. It makes absolutely no sense. If they were really smart, if they were actually in on it, I think they would be very, very silent. So I would look more towards the people that we never hear about, the people that we never know about, the people that are not mentioned in police reports, things like that.
I don't know if you're.
Those are really the ones.
And Greg, where can we find you, and where can we find your book?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much everywhere. If you just Google or search, don't Google, do a DuckDuckGo search for Greg Fernandez Jr. I'll probably pop up. And all of my books are on either my website, thegraystage.wordpress.com, or whatistruth911.wordpress.com. So that's where I post all of my content there. Anything that gets censored will all be posted there. And I'm not too hard to find. So I'm working on, like I said, I just finished the first draft of my Kyle Rittenhouse book, which I know in the future we're going to have a long talk about.
Really?
A long talk about that stuff. So
juicy.
everyone. This is Sophia from the Gray Stage podcast, and I'd like to invite all of our listeners to join the Justice for David Crowley and Family group located on Facebook, where we have almost 4,000 members. In this group, we welcome discussions regarding the case and have all of the documents located in the files section for everyone to review.
Give them the link to your Facebook page, Justice for David Crowley.
Oh, yeah, I need that too as well. As soon as I get off of suspension, I left the group when we were talking.
Okay.
Now I'm going to put my tail between my legs. Put me back in the group, please.
If you don't think there's a lot of people on the other side of the David Crowley issue that are still fighting to keep the truth suppressed, then you've never been to this group.
Oh.
And why would they?
Sadly, I've had the opportunity to run across those people, and wow. That's all I got to say is wow.
Yeah, and Lori, we can talk about that in the next episode too. That's some juicy tabloid shit right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, I don't think I've ever run out of a group quicker in my life.
Wow.
Lori
I got to hear that.
Always giving both sides a chance. She goes and explores both sides and then makes a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I did.
That long.
Like I said, I saw Jamie and I felt that they weren't getting a good representation. They wanted to speak and I didn't think that Jamie was allowing it. So I was like, you know what? I reached out and I said, look, if you would like a platform to come on mine, I would be more than happy to have you an interview about this. But I'm going to let you know one thing. This is my stand on it, change my mind. And, I did the one show. I did the one live stream. And, I wasn't really getting too many answers. Christina, she led me to believe that she knew a lot more than what she did. So then after
names Greg probably knows.
Oh, I'm sure he does. So then they put me into a group chat. And, when I'm new into a chat, I don't really say too much. I just kind of just sit back and watch and observe what people are saying and everything and, pulling out the information. And I said, look, guys, pick a day that you can come together and we can all come on. It would be Judy and Christina and there was a guy there. I can't remember.
Weaving your way through shills and then you got to the big boss.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay.
I'm a gamer.
So
what you say now, Lori?
So Judy says to me, I can only do it in the afternoon. I could do Thursday afternoon. I said, Thursday afternoon, 1:00. How's it sound? She's like, that sounds fantastic. So I set it up. And Nancy and Sarah and Linda in my chat, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I set it up. And what happened was I had a couple of days and I was trying to get my things situated and I was getting screenshots and I was doing all this. I was pulling a lot of information pertaining to the case. Went back into that chat room and guys, the level of fuckery in that chat, I was like, I'm out of here. I left a message and I said, look, when I offered you my platform, I offered it to you out of the kindness of my heart to get your information out there, your side of the information, not to attack Greg, not to attack Jamie, not to attack anybody who has a separate,
opinion.
A separate
opinion.
Opinion. Yeah, thank you. Opinion on what you believe. I was like, that's not why I'm here.
Well, those aren't allowed on YouTube anymore, by the way. Go ahead.
What's that?
Separate opinions. They're not allowed.
No, they're not. So I basically told them all off. I told them what pieces of crap they were and left the group and I blocked them all.
Now, why would this large group of people have this big of interest in defending the official narrative?
Good question. And you have to ask yourself this. But you have to ask yourself this.
Wait, large group of people? I don't think there are that many.
Well, there's quite a few in that group.
How many?
What would we define large?
Yeah, how many?
Dedicated to the official story of David Crowley's death.
It's probably all bots and like 4 or 5 people.
But what I'm saying is you have to ask yourself, why is his neighbor...
Wasn't there over 100 people in that group?
But why is his neighbor, the woman who called 911, why is she so hell-bent on keeping it that he committed this crime?
Exactly.
It doesn't make, there's just a lot. there's a lot of questions that I have about
I have about 1 million questions about what happened there.
Yeah,
That's one of them.
yeah, but when I offered them a platform, like I said, I thought that Greg and Jamie were not giving them a fair shake. That they had a right to get their opinions out there. I didn't realize they're batshit crazy.
I was on the shows though too. I was with them during this time.
Oh, like I said, I wasn't aware that they were batshit crazy.
Oh yeah, and they are. They're just bad. They don't care.
No.
About anything other than these are people who probably are. What do you think, Greg? Do they believe it, or are they being paid to do this? I mean, is it that important? Most people don't even know this story, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, but there's this many, almost 100 people. It was over 100 people that
it was a couple
dedicated to proving that what we're trying to investigate as humanitarians is wrong.
Were they all bots? I mean, were there like 96 bots and like 4 real people?
No, there was quite a few real people, but the only ones that really had a loud vocal voice in it was Christina, Judy, and the guy. I can't remember his name.
Just go to Handy Sook. I almost did it. You heard it. Go to Handy Sook and look. I mean, look on Facebook. Alex Jones gets sued for freaking everything, and he's filing bankruptcy because of what?
Filing Chapter 11.
Look under there and look at almost, I would say 99% of the responses are hanged Alex Jones. He deserves to be hung for having a different opinion. Seriously, look it up. That's where we're at, folks. So it does not shock me that there's a small fringe part of the population
No, not at all.
stuck on, oh my God, I can't believe that people are even debating this. He was a Looney Tune. He was a conspiracy theorist. He killed himself, right? I mean, that's what simple as that.
That's what they want us to believe.
3, probably 15.
I mean, they can think that, but why do they care what other
David
people
Crowley,
think?
right?
Yeah.
Right. That is the question. Lori, what's your take?
Like I said, I have a lot of questions, especially why is the one who was most vocal and the one who was most protective of the narrative, his neighbor.
What is their vested interest?
Right. What is her vested interest? She was the one that called 911. She was the one that discovered them. She was the one that called 911. She was, why is she so invested in keeping the narrative that,
David's closest friends were invested in this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was it one of his parents was against it, and the other one, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, and the other one was fully believing that this was bullshit, what happened, and the other one believed in the official narrative. Is that correct?
Well, David's dad thought that there was a pact between David and Kamel to kill themselves and to kill their daughter. I mean, there's really no proof to that, but that's what he thought. I think. Yeah, I don't understand that.
Again, $30 million to get his dream put on the big screen. So close to that. I understand that, he had some mental issues, but not enough to do that.
No, and David, I mean, he didn't need money either, but I mean, I don't know. There's so many different things that just don't make sense. But then, like 8 months later, or actually a couple months later, after David's body is found, his mom dies, and she kind of had some questions. But she was also leaning towards that pact theory too. That there was no way that David could have done this unless, his wife was involved. So I don't know. It's just weird pact theory that we keep hearing about from that side, from David's parents' side. But
that wasn't even something that was written in his journal. There's
no evidence of a pact.
They're taking what was written in his journal and kind of filling in the blanks with what they think to put their narrative out there.
He wrote that he was distancing himself from a lot of his close friends and others.
I have his journal.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, I think you can kind of see it in like what in that journal helps me see that David Crowley is guilty.
And
like
there's
where in anything, in any of the documents, in any of the photos, in anything that we have, where does it show that David Crowley did this?
I don't see it, and
There's nothing. We have so much,
and I didn't see their part of it either. I mean, they wanted to say that something about, if I remember correctly, Ken, he says, I remember that show. There was something, Ken, what was it with the footprint? They were trying to make me believe something with the footprint.
They could never claim, they don't know whose footprints those are. They never did those tests. They didn't really do anything with those prints.
Well, they did an overlay of, I guess it was David had his legs crossed and you could see the bottom of his foot. And they did an overlay and they said that, oh, that's his foot. And, you know,
right.
that
but
would
the
mean
investigators didn't. The investigators never even bothered to do any of
and that's
that.
what I asked them. I was like, you know, you're not a professional forensic person. You're just putting it in paint and, you know, or Photoshop or whatever and overlaying it. It doesn't prove anything. You can stretch it, you can turn it, you can manipulate it to make, you know, I can make a round hole fit in a square peg, or a square peg fit in a round hole too, using you know, these manipulative programs.
Right.
So it didn't prove anything to me. They couldn't prove anything to me. And by the time that I was going to get them on for part 2, where we were going to talk to Judy and, you know, God forbid her protecting her 911 recording, you know, I had already told them pretty much kick rocks by then. Because
well, it sounds like they tried. If they at least tried to show you some like overlays and, you know, do some.
A whole group dedicated to this. A whole group of people.
Well, I mean, think about it, but think about who you've got. You've got a gamer, a woman who's like in her 50s who plays games all day, who 3 people watch her videos, you know. You've got another guy who all he does is run his mouth and he doesn't really bring anything to the table. And then you've got Judy, who's the keeper of the 911 tape.
I mean, Greg's trying to get his, David was in the military. He did do tours.
Right.
Iraq, Afghanistan, and I believe one other country. And those are brothers, man. When you go to war with people, those are your fucking fans. That's your brothers.
Absolutely.
Against them too. And Greg offered to have them on and try to talk to them several times, many times. And none of them would ever come on. And talk to him about it. Is that right, Greg?
Yeah. I mean, they don't want to talk about it because they can't.
Why would they want to?
Right, exactly. How are they going to prove David Crowley guilty?
Because they support the official narrative, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at least Lori gave them a chance. Like, okay, show me what proves him guilty.
I did, you know, and I. You know, she was like, well, Judy can't come on and this other guy can't come on. It's just me, it's Christina. And she's like,
it should be like a couple sentences. What?
We got a week. Why don't we ask them to come on? We'll put the link out there. Let's call them out. Come on, let's have a debate.
I've blocked them all. I would have to unblock them and find them. Christina,
I wouldn't even waste your time. But I mean,
you never get.
The story needs to be told, and the opposition is so loony.
I mean, I pretty much think Lori told it. She told the story right there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happened, you know, and it was a very short, limited period of time. And, you know, they were, every time I would go into the group, there was a new video bashing Jamie. And I'm like, I'm not about this.
Why are they going after Jamie for? What did Jamie do?
Because they said Jamie
because he's white.
Jamie wasn't giving him a chance. He was cutting him off.
Yeah, you remember, Greg? We were having you on, and we were talking about Gray State. And
yeah, I remember that.
She's talking about a channel that was nuked a little while ago. I've only had, I don't know, 15, 20 nukes. So
Jamie's like one of the nicest people. Why go after him?
Not with us. And we were talking about Gray State.
Yeah. She still has. I think if you go on to Mama Gamer's
Nutballs came and say, "Oh, you guys are nuts! So many horrible people."
Yeah, I think if you go on Mama Gamer's YouTube page, you can still see the videos about Jamie. I don't think she's taking them down. You know.
Oh, really? Mama Gamer. That's again, that folks. That's the final boss.
Mama Gamer.
Mama
Wow.
Gamer.
You're the final boss.
Nice. Great name. Yeah. Because that's what I want from my mama, to be a gamer.
Yeah, that was Christina.
And they never gave a reason why they were so emotionally invested.
I saw the complete fuckery going on in that chat. I wanted no part of it. Absolutely no. After going through what I've gone through,
Is it just like a bash Greg Fernandez channel or what?
Oh,
What's
yeah.
going on?
You know what we're talking about, Greg? You don't know this group?
I don't really know. No.
yes, Greg, that's what they were doing. I mean, literally, I'll talk to you about.
Bro.
I don't know who these people are. I think I've heard of some of them.
I was using.
Yeah.
You don't know who these people are. You've probably seen them. They probably under different names in the Crowley group, but yeah, this is your Bash group, man.
Well, they even admitted that they go by so many sock accounts.
Right. They all have bot accounts.
They all have
sock accounts.
What they have to say about Greg, Lori?
Huh? What?
What they had to say about Greg? They loved him, right?
That Greg was a paid operative, that he was paid to put false information out there, another narrative that they believe.
Which false information? What's a false information?
Well, that you were blatantly disregarding the investigation by the police officers, and that the official standing is that it was a murder-suicide, and that was where they were going to stand. That's what they firmly believe.
Okay, but how? I mean, how was I doing that? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Because you're the voice of it, and you're putting out the narrative that that it was not a murder-suicide.
Signed. They're still out there. They're still here.
Yeah. I'll send you what
Greg. That's how many fucks Greg gives.
I know how these fucking people are. I don't know.
I don't know what's going on, but I mean, what I still don't get it. Okay,
they never show up. They don't want to have a discussion ever. Now, do they, Greg?
Do they? I mean,
never want to show up and have a discussion ever.
Do they have anything? Do they have anything that proves David Crowley guilty?
Yes.
Talk to you about it.
What is it?
They have the overlay of the foot.
The what?
How many times have you invited people to come on with you, Greg?
Well, here's what I got.
Yes, they have the over. Let me tell you something. It was literally, I believe, Ken and Sarah. Correct me if I'm wrong, and Nancy, but it was like a 2-hour show, wasn't it? And it was mostly about the foot. Let me see if I can.
So it's not about the gun. It's not about his hand. It
wasn't about the gun. It wasn't about
the bullets. It wasn't about the.
About 10,000 shows on this. You got to be
about the DNA. Anything about the DNA?
It was mostly about the foot. About how the foot was the overlay of the foot. It was his foot, and she.
Was there any mention of the DNA?
I don't remember now.
Any mention of the gun, of the bullets that proved David Crowley did this? Palm prints.
Well, he did. There's a whole group out there saying that it didn't happen.
I mean, but they don't talk about that. They don't.
You would think that it didn't happen the way it went down. Yeah, Lori doesn't. I thought you did too, Greg.
I don't know. No, I'm sorry.
I totally thought you did.
No, I mean, I just would always ask.
It's destroying you.
I mean, just okay. Well, if David did it, based on what? Like, give me more than a foot. Like a foot is not.
Just give me more than a foot.
That's not going to work.
I did it on. Give me a second here. Let me pull the date. It was October 30th, 2021. It was an hour and a half long, and
into overtime, by the way. When we go into overtime, I have to shift into a different person.
What?
We're almost an hour over normal showtime, so now I have to. So I'm like a werewolf and shit. At a certain time, I just shift into a different person. That's me.
All right, here's
Eric Lee Roth.
Dude. Yeah, we'll get rid of that.
Oh my god. It's just scary. Okay, can you put that up on the screen? I have the links that I used. Here's Mama. Pull up Mama Gamer. There. Deep State Granny.
Oh my God! Don't torture me with this. Okay, well, I mean, but there's nothing about the DNA, nothing about the bullets, about the gun.
We're talking October of last year. I can't remember what I did last week. Okay, but for the most part,
same one.
For the most part, she's still hold on a second. Let me pull this up. Here, pull this one up. Right here. She's still got the videos. Here it is. Man-child, Scotty. So Scott was the other person. David Crowley case, hypocrites looking at evidence, discussion with the David Crowley case, fact or fiction. Scotty doesn't know. Kathy's smoking hot lie.
Where's the Dan Hennon? Where's the Dan Hennon?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Big dicks episode.
What?
Dan Hennon sucking big dicks episode?
Yeah, why aren't they going after him? Why are they?
Aussie Slob and his group of goons.
Who?
Aussie Slob and his group of goons.
Who's that?
Here you go.
Oh
Here's Greg right here.
Wait.
There's Greg right there.
Wait a minute. Let me see. How'd I get there?
Sure.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Hold on a minute.
Oh, famous. Oh yeah.
There you go. There's Greg.
What am I doing?
You're doing your little wiggle.
Oh, okay.
Sure is quiet out there. Too quiet. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, you have a huge group out there dedicated.
Nice.
To you, bro. Yep.
You're famous in their eyes, Greg. Let's just
okay. Cool.
I would think the number one target of that group would be the owner of a page dedicated to exposing. Wow. Did you know that, Lori? I'm shocked you didn't know about these people.
What?
I'm shocked that Greg didn't know about these people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I guess we probably should have told you that people are talking about you.
The whole group dedicated to
you. Yeah, there's a whole group dedicated to the hatred of you.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Dedicated to not exposing what happened to David Crowley.
Right. Yeah. It's the real truth about David Crowley.
Right. Without any DNA, without any evidence that David did. It's the foot. Okay. It's the foot.
It's the foot. Fuckery's a foot.
Well, I'm still waiting.
David, so David shot everybody with his foot? Is that what they're saying?
Right. Now it's all around the foot, and you know,
the big foot,
and protecting that 911 call because nobody's allowed to listen to it without her permission.
Even though she put it out there,
right? It's public on her YouTube page, but yet when you play it, she will try to.
And don't forget, security cameras weren't working that day either.
CCTV were not working that day. Yeah, isn't it amazing? I don't know. I just have a lot of questions, and I had to back off because I was not going to be a part of their bash session when it came to their chats and stuff. And you know, I told them flat out, I'm giving you a platform. I'm allowing you to have your word, your say. Mm-hmm. You know, please don't bash or continue to bash. You know, Jamie and Greg. I'm not going to be a part of it, and they wouldn't stop. No, you weren't even mentioned.
I'm joking. Keep going.
No, Eric, you haven't mentioned it. Yeah, man, what's up with that? You haven't made it yet, Eric? What's up?
No, you weren't even mentioned, and that's when I told him. Block them.
Come on, Eric, you got to step it up.
And that happened about a couple of hours before the show was supposed to go on because I had the link up, ready to go. 1:00 Thursday afternoon, it was set to go.
When did you talk to them? So you talked to them, and you let them on, and they.
The first time I let Christina on, and
hey, let's talk about me, can we? need to talk about me.
Yeah, I know. We need to talk about why do they have any videos on Eric? Are there any videos
No, they
on
didn't.
Eric?
What the fuck?
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Okay, why not? I mean, come on.
I have no idea.
Why don't they go after him?
Because at that point it was just Jamie and Scott that had gotten into the crosshairs at that point, and you.
But not me.
But not Eric?
Shit.
No.
And they should have went after him. I mean, come on.
That doesn't matter at all. What matters is that there's a group dedicated to after people.
The Greg Fernandez fan group?
It is. That you got a fan club. Not so much a fan and not so much a club, but
I kind of feel like I should say something to my fan club or something.
Probably should, maybe.
Just doing inside jokes back and forth, Lori and I. Eyes meet my.
Yeah, no, I'm still not cool with them. I mean, they got to have at least one video on Eric before I respond to anything.
Yeah.
They think you're a freaking horrible person and die.
Okay, all right. Well,
be locked up or something because you believe different than the official narrative. And Lori dug in and found out they didn't know anything about the official narrative.
Oh my god.
Or the alternative narrative, or the alternative to the alternative narrative. They knew nothing. Is that right?
Yeah,
Or?
they gave me in order to research, because I told them, I said, give me what you have so I can take a look at it. I'm not going to do a live show without first looking at the information or the evidence that you had.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave me the links to their channels, which didn't show anything except bashing videos. And then they gave me the Day One journal, the WordPress of his journal, and told me to read through that. And so I read through it, and as I'm reading through it, I'm thinking, y'all ain't got a leg to stand on, with or without that foot.
The question is, why is there a group of people like this dedicated? Do you think they're being paid?
No, I don't think they're being paid because they're not smart enough to be being paid. All right,
nobody's gonna pay them for that.
Nobody's gonna pay.
No, I mean that's what's the alternative? They got so drawn to this, what happened to David Crowley? It's lunacy in my.
Oh,
there we go.
Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy.
And we are back.
We are at 3 hours, my friends.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I know we could talk for frickin' next week or two. We really want to, but
I gotta get up early.
Week we're gonna invite anyone
too.
to debate or talk about this. What happened with David Crowley or anything else?
Can they just give Lori, give her, if they want to do that, if they want to do something like that, just give her or give you the data that shows David Crowley did it, so you guys can look at it first.
I'm waiting on it. I still haven't got it.
We'll be waiting next week too, and the week after, and the week after, and the week after that, and the year after that.
The first one, as far as I got, because I wanted to break it down into multi-part series.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first part was, I've got it. I said, a look at the death of David Crowley, his wife and daughter. We will listen to the 911 call and discuss the Day One journal of David. This is part one of a multi-part series. And, that is what we did, and the next show was supposed to be listening again to the 911 call, getting firsthand witness from Judy. She was going to talk about finding the bodies and that whole thing. She was going to go in there. And then after that, I was going to get into the evidence, the crime scene. but I wanted to go step by step to get into it because I wanted to logically put it out there for people who never heard of David Crowley, to be able to follow it and to get the information. And when I realized that these people were on completely other side of it, they were not even going to listen to any of the possibility that, it was anything other than the narrative. That's when it started going downhill.
So wait, so you did?
What? Oh,
Roro Reggie.
Ruggy. Alrighty.
Oh, I think I'm froze too. No. There we go. There's his house.
Mm-hmm.
Neighbor's house.
I remember when the news came out on Facebook. I was friends with David. I was friends with a couple of other people that were in the community there. There was Michael Myers was friends with him, and that's who told me. Michael called me on the phone. He says, "Did you hear about David?" And I said, "No."
Michael Myers.
His name is Michael Myers. True story. His name's Michael Myers. And JB, what was his name? Josh Busby, JB, were the two people that called me and asked me if I knew what would happen to David. And I was like, no, what happened? And they told me, and I was like, oh my God. And it was all over Facebook within like an hour. And, the conspiracy theories started coming up. People started having their opinions on what was going on, and I didn't really know about the investigation until we came across Greg.
What was that guy's name again, though?
I knew that was coming.
I'm just curious about that. Is there a connection?
No, Michael Myers used to run one of the second largest Facebook That's funny.
I don't know anything.
If I can find his page. A lot of our pages were taken down.
No,
I think you lost his at the same time I lost mine. But Michael Myers, like he owned it was called the Real Truth Movement. And yeah, the pages.
Look it up, Michael Myers, folks.
Yeah. It's his page is called the Real Truth Movement on Facebook. Yeah, but his is different. It's not.
No, there's no relevance. That's what.
No, his is different because like the killer was Michael Myers. His is Michael Myers. There's.
Sure, I believe you.
Alone.
Yep.
Yeah. I think Michael, it was Myers is how he spelled his name, or there's an E missing in the.
Nothing else. We just gave some good press to Michael Myers, or bad press, whatever. Is there bad press?
God willing.
Over 3 hours, we were just waiting to see if you guys came back, and you did.
Welcome to my lair. Greg, I'll get you the information.
Sorry.
Well,
sorry, guys.
It's all right. I'm headed out. I'm going to bed.
All right.
So, you want to take us out, Eric?
Hi, everybody. It's Catherine Michelle and Sophia.
Hello.
And we finally, after, like Sophia pointed out to me earlier tonight, that it's been almost a year, are getting this out there to you. And this is the blood analysis presentation that we're going to be doing. This will be multiple videos. Don't know how many yet at this point, but we're going to be covering the blood analysis reports and then comparing that with items that were tested, and then items that were tested, swabbed and tested, and then only swabbed but not tested from the crime scene. So, Sophia, what would you like to add?
Just that like you said, we've been working on this for a really long time. But
I think that the audience is really going to appreciate what we have discovered and that we're going to present to them. And I think that's about it.
And before we begin, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm notorious for interrupting. I think everybody knows that by now.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But before we begin, I really want Sophia to read a paragraph that she found in a textbook. Now, this kind of applies more toward the video that we did on the clothing and how it's to be handled from not only either the ME's office or the police officers, the investigators. And this is coming from a book that she has, and I just think it's very valid. So would you please read that to us?
This is from Crime Scene Investigations and Reconstruction by Robert L. Ogle Jr. It's an actual textbook. And it's talking about the clothing, which we covered in our last video, and the blood on the clothing. And this says, whenever possible, the entire garment bearing the bloodstain should be collected. The garment should be hung up or laid out on a new, clean butcher paper for drying prior to packaging. Special care should be taken to avoid folding or crumpling the garment and to arrange it in its normal configuration before drying, in order to avoid alteration of the bloodstains patterns or wipe transfer from one location to another on the garment. Special care should also be taken to avoid loss or contamination of trace evidence on the garment. Once dried thoroughly, the garment should be wrapped in clean paper by placing the clean butcher paper under and over the garment and folding, using the paper upon which the garment was dried as the bottom sheet, if the garment was dried in this manner, before folding to further ensure protection of trace evidence and loss of the bloodstain patterns. Package each garment in a separate paper bag and seal appropriately. And so that's basically it.
Yep. And from what we've been able to read on the reports and then what we see in the photos, the few photos we have, it doesn't appear that that's what happened. But I think it's really important, especially the part where she read in that book. Now, this is an actual textbook, correct?
Correct.
From like a college?
Yes. And they mention this in several different textbooks that I have in regards to blood staining on clothing. I mean, it's almost verbatim. So this is protocol.
Okay. And this is super important. So it's not about Sophia having an opinion. This is something that is being taught in the crime scene investigation realm within a college or a university setting. This is probably a college textbook. So
Yes.
This is what students are taught. And they are taught that the clothes come off and they're to be photographed how they appeared on the body. And we will, again, cover this more. I believe we're going to come back and do a different video. But this brings us back to what Sophia pointed out in our last video that has to do with the corset. And I think that's pretty important because the corset was photographed inside out and the blood patterns didn't match the rest of the clothes. But if the ME is doing it according to protocol, where it comes off the body and photographed as it comes off the body, then there's a huge problem, which is what she was bringing out before. But I really wanted her to bring that to your attention. So that's something to keep in the back in your mind, and we will revisit that as well. And so before we get started, because we have a lot to cover tonight, and it's only part of it, Sophia has an opening statement she would like to make. And I'm actually going to ask her to do this for each one of the videos that we do, because it'll help kind of reiterate and keep things going so you can follow along with where we're going.
Just let me find it again.
Okay.
Okay. During the next several videos, Catherine and I will be pointing out factual artifacts from the crime scene that have to do with blood spatter and the DNA. We have been working on this project for almost a year now. Both of us on our own have been studying the crime scene photos learning from books, lectures, videos for quite some time. I have lost count of the amount of hours that we have invested in this particular project, but we are happy to present this to you tonight. Catherine and I would like to state that we are not, nor are we going to be trying to attack any investigating agencies in our presentations. We are only here to show you the facts, and that's it. We don't have all the answers. We wish we did, but we can show you what we have learned and how it applies to this case. Any one of you watching can do exactly what we have done. We would gladly welcome you to do so that you can also see for yourselves that we are not being told the entire story of what really had occurred in the Crowley home before they met their fate. Since we are discussing blood, human tissue, and explicit content, we'd like to ask that the little ears leave the room. This is definitely a viewer discretion video, and our next few videos are also viewer discretion, and we'll mention that again. If you are sensitive to this topic, I would like to probably suggest that you turn the video off at this time. And other than that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We hope that you enjoy our video.
That was excellent. Thank you, Sophia. Okay, and I'm going to try to set this up so we can share. I can make sure I share everything. And I think that there should be one more that is not showing. Which one is that? And this is always the frustrating part with trying to get this set up, because it doesn't always work.
Yeah, and I'm pulling it up on my phone too.
Oh, there it is. Okay, you guys have to forgive me. We're without sleep. Okay. We are going to actually start with the slideshow.
Yes.
Okay. So is that visible on your side?
It is.
Okay, great. And if anything, if I switch over to another report or something and you don't see it, please stop me and let me know so I can make sure I hit the appropriate share button screen.
Okay.
Okay, and this is obviously blood analysis part 1. Okay. This will be a multi-part series covering the items sampled versus items tested. We will cover each item tested first, showing the corresponding photos and lab analysis. Subsequent videos will cover the items sampled, collected, but not tested, along with their corresponding photos. Let's start by taking a look at the suggested testing by Joe Cooksley. Make sure I can pull that up. Okay. Was that, hold on. Again, I should have been a little better prepared for this one. But I need to see what page, the slide. Okay, page 53 of the report. Okay, that's helpful. And then we'll go here. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So, and as you guys can see, this is part of the report, and this is from Joe Cooksley. And he is writing this to Chris. And he says, this is the planned laboratory testing at this point. LP, latent print, FA firearms, QD question documents. He wanted to test the firearm, the cartridge cases, bullets, knife, blood sample from the wall, photos from writing on the wall, blood from apparent footprints, blood from laptop, photos from apparent bloody ridge detail on laptop, blood from the A key, blood from the hallway, blood from cell phone on the island, swabs from push keys on gun safe. So that tells us there was no visible blood on the gun safe. So they were just testing it to see whose DNA they would collect. Blood from the desk, pen from the office desk, notepad from the office desk, and possible known writing samples. Now, this is what he suggested that they run all the tests on, and you will see that not all of these items were tested, and then some others were tested that were not part of the original suggested items. And today, this will be the table of contents for this. This is going to be a 2-part series on this one, but not the complete series of the blood analysis we're going to be doing. And so today we're going to cover items 1A-3 through item number 35. And here, item 1 is the gun. And item 1A, the gun in negative. And if I remember correctly, item 1A is the trigger, right? Isn't that the trigger?
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
To double check.
So here I got samples, 1A. 1A-1, the grip of the gun. Oh, trigger. Okay. 1A-1A1 is the grip. 1A2 is the slide, and 1A3 is the trigger.
Okay.
Okay. So, it is so hot here. It's like, so hot. But they did not give us any photos from the current slide of the actual trigger of the gun, not really close up. So we're doing the entire gun on this one, since it pretty much covers the grip, the trigger, and the slide. And these are done in negative because it's to help bring out any blood or latent prints you may find. Now, these areas right here, even though this shows up and on the photo they're red and you might think that these areas are blood, this is actual just kind of like a rust material. This is normal wear and tear, what happens on this type of weapon. But this here is actual blood on the trigger right here and over here on the grip. And these areas right here, that is blue. That's the blood. This again here is just the rust. This here is blood. And then you see the fibers. And on this one, obviously it's a greenish color just due to the type of filters that were used.
I find it hard to believe that David, who basically enjoyed shooting guns and stuff like that, would allow his pistol to get rusted. I mean, how quickly does it do that?
No, it's not something you can control. It's just what happens to this to oftentimes these weapons, and it doesn't mean you don't take care of it. You can, because I talked to my son about that because I saw that on another weapon somewhere else. And I asked him, I'm like, well, wait a second. Why is this rusting? Why aren't you taking? And my son is very particular about his weapons. And he's like, no. It's just what happens. It's kind of like, and I don't want to say this as if it's fact because I don't understand all that stuff, but it's kind of like an oxidation type thing. You can't stop it from occurring. But, so it is often seen in those areas where the screws and stuff are.
Okay.
So now let's see what we're pulling up. Okay. Here is the reports we're going through. Now, we're dealing with today the 1A3, which as we saw previously was the trigger and the blood that came from that. We'll highlight this so you can see it. 1A-1A3, blood from the trigger. It came back as a mixture of 2 or more individuals. Who is included is David. No one was excluded from the results of that, but it did state in the reports that Kamel and Rania don't match. So, where? Okay, I'm trying to see where. Okay, here we go. I want to pull up that report so they can see it in the report themselves. And I think that was page 319. Or did I go too far? Maybe it's 310. Okay, yeah, 310. Sorry, guys. We don't always memorize all of these reports very well. But here we go. Here's
you have it within your link. I can tell you next time what the page number is for you.
Okay. Okay, thanks. And okay, here we go. This is the actual report. And for 1A3, mixture of 2 or more, major male DNA profile matches David. Major profile does not match Kamel or Rania. It would not be expected to occur more than once among unrelated individuals in the world. Rania cannot be excluded. Kamel is excluded from being a contributor. Now, this is what I find interesting about this report. We have to remember that Kamel has three bullets with her DNA and blood and or hair and tissue on them. 2 exit wounds through her head. That would be a lot of blowback onto that weapon. There should be her blood all over that weapon and inside the weapon, and she's excluded.
Yes, and that is extremely concerning because, I mean, blowback is something that does happen, and it could get into the barrel of the gun. It can get on the grip. It can get on the hands of the killer. But
yeah,
I mean, it's excluded, and she supposedly was shot. I mean, there's 3 bullets connecting her DNA to this crime scene. In fact, for those who haven't realized this, the 3 bullets that they found at the crime scene, the spent bullets on the rug, those were all connected to Kamel and to Kamel only.
Yeah, and that's very, very important. And I've heard it said before, and I can't remember who said this, but a lot of times they were confusing and trying to say that we didn't understand this terminology of mixture of 2 or more individuals. Oh, by the time we get done through these reports, you will understand why we bring this up, because we know exactly what we're talking about. Again, like Sophia was saying, I have been working on these reports and doing research on this since I did my very first video back in 2017 or 18 about the blood. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think we kind of, and I know Sophia, like I said, she actually went out and purchased a textbook. Several textbooks. So we are not experts, and we're not saying that we would probably even pass the class, but we have enough knowledge base now that when we're looking at this stuff, we feel very confident in how we're reading it.
Yeah, and I've been looking at the DNA since we received the DNA reports from Apple Valley. I can't remember if that's 2016 or 2017, but just listening to DNA lectures, which are boring as anything, but I've been listening to as many as I can come across, listening to blood lectures and reading anything I can get my hands on, whether it's online or books or what articles, just everything I can so that I can understand exactly what we're looking at. And this doesn't add up.
Right. And hopefully, my main concern every time I do one of these videos is that I don't get across what it is that we are seeing or that I see. And I know Sophie and I, we don't want to like rush a point, and we don't want to misquote something, or we don't want to not exaggerate or expand on a particular topic, because we're so afraid that very important, that minute detail is going to get lost in the shuffle. And it's oftentimes those little tiny details that will, give you a whole lot more information.
We also don't want to talk down to you all, because we're all adults, and you can do your own research on this. And that's our point, is just to present the evidence. And so we're trying to walk a very fine line on all this.
Right. And for those of you who are only listening and you're not watching, I'm going to read this next slide, which basically is what I just previously stated. The only person's blood the results prove were on the gun was David's. Rania's blood cannot be excluded. Now, the real head scratcher, Kamel, she had 2 exit wounds to her head and 3 bullets with her blood or DNA, but her blood doesn't match. Think about that for just one moment. Her blood is everywhere in that house, but not on the weapon.
And blowback is just something that occurs every time you fire a weapon.
Especially into a body and a head, right? Because it's so vascular. The head is super vascular, lots of blood coming that goes on there. So to not have blowback and her blood on the weapon itself is a definite head scratcher. Okay, we did the slide 310. And now here's 1B1 is the next one up on the list is the magazine. And that's item 1B. Item 1A was the gun, 1B is the magazine. And here, this right here was the cartridge that they took out of the chamber in the gun. And then this is the magazine. And this negative is obviously a very poor one, but again, you can only do what you can with these. Here is the blood, and then a print. Another visual, the blood, and the print. You can see ridge detail right here, especially here, and then some here. And at this angle, you can see ridge detail there, but this looks like little drops and pools of blood. I don't know if pool is the correct word, but there's definitely more blood there than what would be on a print. And then some on the side here as well. And here we have a better view of the ridge detail right here. And then this drops of blood. And I know at one point, because Sophie and I, we spent a lot of time on this because she had a lot of questions about this photo, and I'll let her tell you guys that in just a second. But the whole thing is this one event or is this 2? Did someone leave a bloody fingerprint and then drop blood on top of it? Or was it so saturated with blood that when they touched it, it pooled here and a little bit there and then left a print? We don't know. And in fact, the reports state that they don't know either. They couldn't determine at all because the prints are actually layered. There's more than just one set of prints here, they're layered. And when you get a close-up of this one, and I'll see if I can do that, I'll pull out of the slideshow and then just go to the photo. This actually looks to be part of this ridge detail here, but this down here does not. Do you have anything you want to add?
To me, it looks like it was blood droplets and that they had wiped through it. The other just looks like transfer from their hand, but like you said, it's layered, and I have to question why we're seeing so much activity on this magazine when it's supposed to be a simple murder or double murder suicide.
Right.
I mean, you just put the magazine into the gun and you shoot it. He should not have had to remove the magazine to clear the jam, right?
No, you would not take a magazine out of a weapon. Because if a cartridge jams in, all you do is you rack the slide and it clears it, especially that type. I would show you on mine, but I don't want people to freak out and call the cops and go, "Oh my God, she's got a gun on the screen." But you just don't want to do that. But yeah, you just take it and you rack the slide and it pops it out, clears the jam, and then brings up the next bullet out of the.
But I did come across something while looking at videos on YouTube in regards to the type of gun that David has. In this particular gun, you can change the slide to a 9mm, and you can change the magazine to a 9mm, and you can turn his particular gun into a 9mm. You can also, the slides are interchangeable, so you could change it with another gun too. Well, another gun that's similar to what his gun is. So,
and that makes me question, because in the reports it states that, and we will bring this up when we do and I'm sure I'm dragging Sophia along for the ride. She just doesn't know it. She's come along with all of them. But when I do the ballistics one, because I really want to bring that out, in the reports where it states poor reproducibility, when they were firing test shots in their lab, they could not reproduce the same striations. Their words, not ours. Poor reproducibility. And that maybe, and I'm not saying it's a fact, and neither is Sophia, but maybe that could explain it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just bringing this information up. I mean, that video is on YouTube, and I'm more than happy to put it in the comments after this video goes live, so that other people can watch and see for themselves that the slide is interchangeable with a 9mm, but it's also interchangeable with other similar guns to what David had. And you just have to take out this particular caliber magazine and put in the 9mm magazine with the 9mm slide. And there you go. You have a 9mm.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
So,
okay. And we're going to do the close-up here. And here, this is the ridge detail, these blue dots here. This is the ridge detail. These are the drops of blood. And this is why I'm saying here, this looks like it's just all part of it. Like if this is a thumb, or I don't even know what fingerprint this is, but whatever print made this, multiple prints is according to the reports. It just looks like whatever, it was saturated with blood when they touched that magazine. But then down here, and then again, you see, same thing. And this is, oh yeah, when we're looking close, look, here's ridge detail here, but then here's ridge detailed here. This looks like this is layered on top of this. No wonder they said that. I never saw this before.
Yeah, it's pretty clear here that it's layered up. So this is multiple touchings, which doesn't make sense, because why was he removing the magazine? He only shot 7, well, there were 7 bullets, right? Casings?
6 casings, I believe, and then the one that was the cartridge was ejected. But yeah, and this now makes sense, because in the reports they state that when they're looking at this, they're like, we can't tell. There are layers, the prints are layers, and we can't tell which event occurred when and where. And now that makes sense. Looking at this, it's like, okay, here's this set of ridge prints. Here's this set of ridge prints, which is clearly different from this. So
that one looks like a palm print, and then fingers, maybe thumb.
Well, it's hard to say. Well, it's on that magazine. It's a very small area, so it's hard to say. But then down here, like you said, this looks like this is drops that were a different event from this, because the color is different even. So is that 3 here? I don't know. I'm tossing this out as a thought. We know here's a set of ridge detail. Here's a set of another ridge detail, but the color is just different here. This is brighter than this. So is this a third set or third drops on top of it? Don't know. No clue. That's interesting. Sorry, guys. I just had not really taken a closer look at this photo before. You would think we would.
Is there any way to go back to the original? So
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let me go there, and then I'll wait. Let me see. Move us out of the way here real quick. I think that's the only photo, or is that? Did I have another one? Yeah, that was the only photo I have. But let me see if I can.
Okay. So, I mean, you can still see.
Let me get a little bit clearer here. So those bright blue spots on the other one was these here with this, and then this here was darker. But yeah, this looks totally different than like a whole separate print from this area up here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
And that's why I had asked you. I was like, do you think that blood right there on the magazine was drops that had been swiped or wiped through?
Yeah, and that's this one right here could have been, but this up here, I still think that this was just part of this print. So whatever made that had a lot of blood on finger, the thumb, whatever made this print here, and that just was deposited and was just happened to be part of this. It's kind of like what you were saying, like a transfer. Even if you have like a wet area and you press something into it, it'll like leave some of the wet stuff there, but then it'll be there. I'm not explaining it right, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, actually, I do know what you're talking about.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure if everybody else does.
And then down here, though, I think is where your point is valid. You know, like this was dropped on top after. It's a.
And I think the side right there also.
Yeah.
Was part of that.
Yep. Like when again grabbing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for zooming in on that.
Oh, you're welcome. So
okay.
Oh, let me get this back.
And the results were
oops. Let me okay, so for item 1B, the magazine blood analysis, it's like, let's look at the results, and it will tell us. Boy, move us out of here. So 1B1 is here. It is from area on the magazine. Again, mixture of 2 or more individuals. The blood that is included is David. No one is excluded. But again, it does not match Kamel or Rania. Now, they can't be, now, and here's the thing. This is where oops, sorry. It's jumping the gun on me here. Let me find their report. I think it's this right here. And how they word these things. Okay, mixture, again, of 2 or more individuals. It only matches David. It does not match Kamel and Rania. But yet down here, they say that they can't be excluded as being possible contributors to the mixture. So on that one, it's like, okay, so we know that there's more than one person's DNA in that blood. And the only person that they can positively identify is David. Now, if David is the one who shot himself, how did he then shoot himself, take out the magazine, look at it or whatever, fill it back up, and then, with his own blood, put the magazine back in the gun? Okay.
I mean, the only thing is he had to have been bleeding beforehand, but we don't see any cuts on him besides his missing right hand.
Yes.
So,
and that's and if David were to be the perpetrator, there is no way, according to the narrative as it is written and told, that this blood would match David at all. It should be a complete match for Kamel and Rania. I mean, they should be the ones being the contributors, not David, because prior to him shooting himself, according to them, he's not injured. He's not hurt. There's nothing else happened other than he supposedly shot his wife and child and then shot himself. But they failed to explain how latent fingerprints bloody latent fingerprints with ridge detail in his blood is on the magazine inside the gun. Did I say that right? I just oftentimes don't think I'm getting it across. I just don't think
I
gets it.
I understood what was said.
Yeah.
The narrative says that he was not injured before he shot himself, that his body did not have any injuries to it. So where did his blood come from?
Yep.
Because it's not Kamel's blood, and it's as a major contributor like the wall is, or the footprints are. So where did his blood come from?
Yeah, because we don't find really any of David's blood throughout that house at all. Not and things that they've tested, but here it is on the magazine inside a gun that they say was used to shoot him, that he used to shoot himself. It does not work like that, people. His blood would not end up inside the gun on the magazine after he shot himself, or even due to him shooting himself. He would have to be injured, or somebody else was handling that weapon who had contact with his blood, who then had contact and transferred that with their print, or even just blood, which then highlighted maybe David's prints from a previous time where he was handling the magazine, which is also a possibility. So say this is a gloved hand, so to speak, and the blood on that gloved hand then just highlights the ridge detail that was left in prints that were there before. Again, which was one of the possibilities, because the lab could not tell the difference. They flat out state, we can't tell, so we're kind of at a loss. And we will cover that in a latent print video. But
and also, blowback will not get on the magazine if the magazine is appropriately in the gun. So
there's just
how
no
did
way.
Kamel and Ranya's DNA get on that gun magazine?
Correct.
So,
correct. How did any of their blood? There should be no blood on that magazine at all.
Correct.
None. So that is another one of these really very curious situations. Okay, and now we'll go on to the next one. And I'll make this smaller so. And again, this is just reiterating what we were just saying. The blood tested from the magazine, which is inside the gun, is matched to David. It is a mixture of 2 or more individuals, and Kamel and Rania cannot be excluded. However, the blood matches David. How does David's blood get inside the gun on the magazine? This is another head scratcher. And again, this is just going back to the report that we just saw. Okay, and I'll go back to it. And here's another thing that really keeps us going, and that's the knife. Here it is. And then here, this right here would be David's leg that is covered by the blue blanket. And then here's the knife. And the blade is pointing up toward his body, up toward the upper portion of his body. And the knife is open, blade down, pointing up. And here it is in the box. So this section of the blade was toward the floor. This was what you just saw, this part right here. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of good photos of this knife. And with the camo, it's really hard to try to find any kind of bloodstain pattern. So with this, we'll just go ahead and stick with the results. And again, on the blade, it's a mixture of 2 or more individuals. They didn't have minor contributors. They don't have anybody included. But all 3 of them, David, Kamel, and Rania, they cannot be excluded. They could not be definitively included, but they could not be excluded. And I think maybe a lot of that had to do because it was small, like the areas that they were able to test to find blood from, which was 3 separate areas on the gun, which would be, let's see, I will show you just a second.
The blade.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the picture of the. Okay, so there was like, say this area right here of the blade, and somewhere up here, there's like an indentation. It was somewhere up here, and then on the handle somewhere, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the 3 very small areas that were, barely detectable, they were able to find 3 small sections that had blood. So was it cleaned? I don't know. They didn't mention that it was cleaned, but it's interesting that that would be the only areas that there would be any blood on that knife. And the fact that it was even at the scene, why bring a knife to a gunfight? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so yeah, right here, I put no one is positively included. However, all 3 cannot be excluded. Was this due to degradation of the sample, due to possible cleaning? Maybe, maybe not. Again, they don't mention cleaning, but they don't really mention anything about the knife, which is, I think, okay, there are so many things that boggle my mind with this case. And this is really one of them, because they walk in, 3 deceased people. You look at the scalp pieces, which are clearly have straight edges. You have a knife at the scene, but they don't pay it any attention. They really just kind of ignored it.
It's an afterthought, basically.
That's a good word, afterthought. I like that. Okay, now we're going to go on to item 11, blood from the west wall. That's a lot of blood. Now, I was looking at this and I was going to ask, I just never had a chance to ask you, so I'll ask you now. Does this look like to you like they did it twice? Like they made an A first and it didn't quite work, so they went over it again?
Yes.
Okay.
I think a lot of the letters look that way to me.
Okay.
It's very weird.
Yeah. Yeah, because this really kind of highlights where a previous one was written. Okay, so let's look at the results from the test from the blood on the wall. I just keep moving us all over because we're just in the way. Now this one comes back as single source DNA, and it Kamel is the one who is included, and it yet does not match David and Rania. So let's look at that actual report. Oh, let me go here, find that report, just here. Yeah, indicated as female. Yeah, okay, so, and again, it's the wording that they use. You will see that oftentimes they put excluded, included, does not match. So here they decide to choose that they just don't match. But since they're saying it's single source DNA, so only one contributor, and this is how why I wanted to bring this out before, because all these others, mixture of 2 or more, which means that there are 2 or more people who contributed to that sample. And then on this one, they're very clear, it's single source, and it indicates as female, but they don't say David and Rania are excluded, which David should be excluded since he's obviously not female. They just simply state it doesn't match. So that I found interesting. Anything you'd like to add? Okay.
It's very cut and dry. To me, it is. So 44-1.
I'm sorry, what do I need
to... Are we looking at 44-1 also, or are we just going... Oh, that's later.
Yeah, we're going doing the first aid this time.
Jumping ahead.
Okay, and now for the slideshow, let me move us out of the way here again from the current slide. And these are the apparent bloody footprints. So this was item number 14. And then this still cracks me up. Straight line. It's one hell of a toe.
To me, it looks like a hand.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me.
I agree. And it says, okay, let's look at the results of the test run on the bloody footprints. Okay, item number 14. And again, DNA indicated as female. It's not enough genetic material to know if there are any minor contributors. So the major contributor they believe who is included for sure is Kamel. Again, they're back to just does not match. Doesn't match David and Rania. Again, hold on, I messed up. Go to this report. If it's indicating as female, why would David not be excluded? They just say it doesn't match. Their writing in these reports is so bizarre.
I don't understand it.
I don't either. I mean, head scratchers all over the place.
Yeah.
And okay. So again, for those of you who are only listening, it's single source DNA indicated as female and matches Kamel. David and Rania do not match. The report does not exclude either David or Rania, yet the report states single source. You know, we sit here and we read through these reports and we go over them, and a lot of times we just sit there and like throw our hands up in the air. What do you do with this?
I would like to point out that there is a lot of blood all over the wooden floor area, and there's even blood leading up to the footprints, but they only got Kamel from that DNA or from that swab. Her DNA was the one that matched. So because they did not test the rest of the blood that's on the floor, we have no idea if that only belonged to Kamel or if it belonged to the other two, David and Rania. But I mean, to me, common sense would say that there would be a mixture within the bloody footprints, but it's not showing that. Our future videos will cover more about that area, and I'll show you more photos of that area where the blood is like practically leading up to it and how. But anyway, I'm just rambling now. Yeah. So it boggles my mind that they only have a single source.
Right.
When there's two other people who were killed in that house.
And when she says leading up to it, it doesn't mean that there are other prints walking toward and then only
no,
nothing like that. It's the direction of the blood spatter that heads toward that direction is what she means. And we will be bringing that up in a future video.
It's blood droplets and spatter for sure. And how it didn't mix, I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay. And item number 23 is the laptop, the blood on the laptop on the island. And you see they have 23 A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, you know, I'm going to come out of this view here because I really want to zoom in on this because this color, I did it again. I keep forgetting I'm not on a photo. I'm on a slide. I keep moving.
Oh,
I keep moving it. Stop that.
Is that after they put the Amano black on there?
I don't think this is the amino black yet. This is just, I just did it in negative and then put a different color filter on this one.
Okay.
But I liked how this color really brought out the ridge detail in all of those sections. It's very visible. There's definitely ridge detail. Now, we don't know, is it palm, fingerprints? Not a clue. But to me, and I could be wrong because I'm not an expert, but I would
Looks
think,
like a palm.
yeah. I mean, I would think, I would think that there would be enough detail here to get something, to be able to match it to someone. But none of these prints are matched, to anybody. That one might be a little more difficult, but definitely
that
number.
Might be material right there on the end.
I'm sorry, what here?
That one, no, the other area. I guess
A?
towards C.
Oh, see.
There. I think that might be material like denim or.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I don't know. This could be ridge detail too, but could it be a fabric pattern? Maybe. And see the swirls here, you know, how it kind of loops a little bit, but yet this doesn't look like a looping and this here doesn't look like a looping. So is it a mixture of material in a print? I don't know. We're just kind of guessing here and spitballing it. But look at this. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Why this pattern?
That's a definite void.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so now we're going to look at the test results from the laptop on the island. Again, it's item number 23. Again, indicates as female, not enough genetic material to know if there are minor contributors. Again, it's, I don't know. I don't understand exactly how they run their tests because I would think that if a test result comes back and says it indicates it's female, I'm not sure I would be looking for minor contributors if there's only one person. I would think that would make more sense if it came back with 2 or more. And again, same result. Match. Kamel is included, and David and Rania just say they do not match. But again, they're not excluded. And item number 27, the transfer on the hallway next to Rania's door. And here it is, a negative, which brings it out. And this really looks like it came from some kind of material. Or hair, maybe?
It's really hard to tell because of the texture of the wall.
Yep. And item 27, again, it indicates as female, Kamel is included, and David and Rania, it just doesn't match. You know, same stuff, different day. It's just like it's repeating itself. And the last one we're going to cover tonight is the cell phone on the island, which is right here. And then here, these lighter areas, of course, is the blood. And just, again, poor photos, poor photo quality. And the photos that they gave us were, they're horrible.
That was very frustrating.
Very, very, very. Now this one, let's see. This one says it's a mixture of 2 or more individuals. Again, notice the wording, mixture of 2, single source, DNA indicated as female. So this tells us that this has more than one person's DNA mixed in it again. And who is excluded? David. But Kamel and
it was
Rania,
his phone.
was it his phone?
Yes.
Which is really, because you would think his DNA would be all over that.
Correct.
Okay, let's look at that again.
Because Kamel's is on the dresser in the bedroom. So.
Okay, so this is David's phone.
Correct.
Oh boy. And we know that when they swab it, that they got, this is Kamel's blood. Well, no, they can't.
Kamel and Rania cannot be excluded.
Yeah, they can't be excluded. So let's go to the report.
But David was excluded.
Yes, mixture of 2 or more individuals. Kamel and Rania cannot be excluded for being possible contributors, mind you. David Crowley is excluded from being a contributor. Now, if you're touching your phone, hold on.
Oh, yeah. You touch it.
Okay, I'm touching my phone all over the place.
All over.
And if I have blood on my hands and I am now touching my phone and I am transferring that blood from my hand onto this phone and it gets stuck down here, they come in and they swab this and they get some of that blood. You're going to have my DNA on that. My DNA would be included as it would be detected.
Yeah, because you even put it up against your face when you talk on it or listen. So you're getting sweat glands, you're getting.
Yeah, see, I never do. I never put my phone up. I always talk like this. But I know a lot of people do. And I don't know how David did. He had earphones. So was he always just using his earphones? I don't know. But it's still, like you said, though, let's point out, hands sweat.
Absolutely.
There would be sweat DNA. There would be palm prints. There would be handprints, DNA from his hand all over that phone.
Skin cells.
Yes,
everywhere
all over that phone. But yet he's excluded from being on that.
Yeah, even when I do this, I'm shedding skin cells. I'm shedding DNA.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, you're rubbing it against the phone. It's a touch screen.
Mm-hmm.
You are automatically depositing DNA every time.
Yeah. So, I mean, granted, I know they're testing blood, but that blood is on top of DNA from the cell phone's owner or David. So his should have been in there. They should have been able to detect his DNA.
Yeah.
And why that didn't happen, I don't know. But again, it's a mixture of 2 or more individuals. Now they're saying that Kamel and Rania cannot be excluded, but they are not definitely included. Again, it's the wording that they use. Oops, let's go over here. I'm trying to keep us out of the way. I'm not succeeding very well. So the DNA. Oh, is this just DNA or was this blood? Hold on. No, they had to have tested the blood. I
believe it was blood.
Yeah.
I'll go back and double check.
Let me go to this one page real quick.
Yeah, there was blood. DNA profiling was performed on blood previously indicating on 1 or more areas, and this was included in that list. So.
Yeah, because I got a lot of this here, and I'm trying to figure out why they don't have item 35 listed here.
Oh, this is right above 1A. So go back to page 310.
Okay. Let me see something.
And it's further up on that
up here.
Page.
Oh, right here. I see what you're saying. Was preferred. Okay, it's just so everybody can see that. And you can see the screen, right? It's up on the screen. Sophia, can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Like she pointed out, this is in the report. DNA profiling was performed on blood previously indicated on one area, and then it lists item number 35, right? Where's item 35?
Yes, it's the second line.
Oh, right there. Okay, items 11, 14, 23, 27, 35, 38. Okay, so they're taking, so it is the blood DNA, but again, if the blood touches something, you think it's going to pick up the DNA that's surrounding it.
Well, they use a swab, so
Right.
they're swabbing through it. They would pick up any other DNA that's there. I mean, it's just going to happen. But his was not detected.
Yeah. So, oops. Wait, okay, yeah, that's right. So let's go back to this report and we'll go over this again very briefly. 1A3 was the trigger, 2 or more individuals. David was the only one included. 1B1, the magazine. They don't even say how many people were on that, did they? Hold on a second.
Magazine, mixture of 2 or more individuals.
Okay.
Major male DNA profile matches David. Major profile does not match Kamal or Rania.
Okay, hold on a second. I must have accidentally erased this and didn't realize it. Okay, so trigger 2 or more individuals. David is included. Magazine, David is included. Again, that's the question part.
Kamal and Rania cannot be excluded from possible contributors. And then at the very end, they exclude her, Rania.
On which one?
On the magazine. It's the very end. It says Rania Crowley is obtained from the known sample of Rania Crowley. It is estimated that 99.95 of the general population can be excluded from. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, we're tired. But we do know that, Kamal and Rania cannot be excluded. We do know that that David is included, but the profile does not match Kamal and Rania. Again, mixture of 2 or more. So who is the other contributor? And that's a lot of our questions. Who is this third person?
We're just going to have even more questions as we go through everything.
Yeah. So. And on 14, 23, 27 indicated as female, all for Kamal. Actually, 11 is single source, and then the other 3 are DNA that matches Kamal, but yet they don't exclude and cannot exclude David. Please explain that. And then 35 is mixture of 2 or more. David is excluded, his cell phone, but not his DNA or blood on the cell phone. But yet Kamal and Rania cannot be excluded. So we've covered the areas so far. On the gun, we've covered the trigger and the magazine, the knife, the wall in the living room, the footprints near the island, the laptop on the counter, blood in the hallway next to Rania's door, and then the cell phone, which is on the island.
Lots of questions. For the listeners tonight, this information can be found in the group. This was located on the BCA lab results that Catherine was pulling this information off of. It's also located on Greg Fernandez's website, a gray stage at WordPress.com, or the gray stage at WordPress.com.
And the one I pulled from was the large one, the 488 page one. And
the data request.
Yes, exactly. And it was pages number 53, 310, 311, and then 319. Those were the pages that I pulled this information from.
Okie dokie.
So hopefully, again, this is kind of where I often feel like I failed in trying to bring the point home that blood is where it should be. Blood doesn't match who it should be matching. Nothing is making sense in this case.
Correct.
Out of all the places, the only place where David's blood is found on the magazine inside the gun, where it shouldn't be. Kamel, her blood should be all over that gun. It's not there. You know, we have to remember she was shot 3 times. It's not there. Where's Ranya's blood?
And as we go on, it's just going to get even crazier. I mean, the information that we have uncovered is just, it's going to blow your minds, honestly. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm sorry. But if we give it all out right now without an explanation, it will be bad.
Yeah. I think we'd end up with more problems, more questions than answers. And right now. So hopefully you guys can understand why it's been taking us so long, because a lot of it is Sophia and I both individually as well as together went and read up and just dove into the subject, trying to make sure we understood what was being said, trying to make sure that we understand the aspects of the blood in this crime scene. Now, it's different for everything. I mean, we're just focusing on this. It's not like we could say, oh, yeah, we'll go look at and we could figure something out. Well, I mean, we could, but we'd have to go study that. But for this one, like she said, it's been countless hours. For her, I came to the case in 2017. I'm sorry, 3,000. God, it just seems like it's been that long. But in 2017, but she was here the year before or whatever. Yeah. And so it's from the moment that this information became available, it caught her attention and it caught my attention, and we were both looking at it. And it wasn't until about a year ago we're like, hey, wait a second, why don't we just kind of work on this together instead of, repeating information? And it's taken this long to finally try to start putting the pieces together, trying to present it in a way so that it's understandable. God, I hope I did okay on the slides. It just doesn't feel.
We also want to know what we're talking about so that as we're giving out information, we can show you and back it up. I mean, just looking at this for a couple of days is not going to do it. And so that's what we've been doing, is learning everything that we can and then applying it to the crime scene and all that. And it's a lot of work. You'll see. You'll definitely see that, especially when we get to the blood spatter by the hallway and behind the recliner against that east wall. There's so much there. And so that's all I'm going to say on that one.
Yeah. There is more to come.
But it's exciting. I swear to you, it's exciting. And I can't wait to get that out to everybody. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so, we're so close. And It's just we started getting burned out too.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we spend a lot of hours on this. But again, nailing it home. The main things I really want you guys to go and read, go pull these reports, read it for yourself, is the fact that Kamel has two exit wounds in her head and a third bullet with her DNA on it. And her blood is not on the gun.
Correct.
Not there. David, who supposedly was the last person killed, why is his blood inside the gun on the magazine in a print?
Correct.
These are the things that don't make sense.
When he wasn't noted to have any injuries besides missing his hand, but I mean,
which they say occurred after.
Yes, the narrative says occurred afterwards. So where's that blood coming from?
We certainly know that Paleo did not eject the magazine and then put a print on it and then put the magazine back in the gun.
Are you sure?
I know, right?
Because, I mean, he has been known to do so many things. So we don't know that.
I'm sorry. You're right. He's super dog.
The magical dog. Very creative.
So hopefully we have your wheels spinning now, because that's the whole purpose of this one, to get you start thinking, going, wait a second, this isn't adding up. What's wrong with this picture? Because that is where you should be at right now.
And if the listeners are in the group and on Facebook, you're more than welcome to PM me. Tagging me on Facebook right now is just not going to work. I get way too many tags and I forget. But if you PM me, I can give you the names of the textbooks that I've been looking at and using. I can also give you the links to the YouTube videos and articles. I've saved everything. And I'm more than happy to share. That's what the group is for. So, you know, I welcome anybody asking questions politely, please. And I'm more than happy to share with you so that you can also see for yourselves what we are seeing, if that's what you'd like to do. And I gladly welcome that. So anyway, I think that's about it for tonight.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And again, this has been painfully repetitive, but it's done on purpose. We're not being repetitive because we don't know what we're doing. We're repeating on purpose to drive these points home. So again, we really hope you are really scratching your head going, wait a second, now I need to read this. And we hope you go read the reports. And we are so thankful you joined us. And we look forward to sharing more information with you. Have a great night.
Have a great night.
give them the link to your Facebook page, Justice for David Crowley.
Oh yeah, I need that too as well. As soon as I